George on a hard drive, gets inside, sidestep, missed. Terrence Mann on the follow.
In 2021, Terrence Mann dropped 39 points in a playoff clincher against the Utah Jazz. It felt like it came out of nowhere. Should we have expected this from him? Or was it an outlier and one of the most unexpectedly great performances ever? Let's find out.
Terrence Mann for three. Bang! Terrence Mann is unstoppable.
To figure this out, let's start somewhere comfortable. Chicago, 1990. Michael Jordan put on a show. According to GameScore, it was the best single-game performance ever. Jordan's stat line was absurd. 69 points, 18 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, a game score of 64.6. We already expected greatness from Jordan by then, but that night was exceptional, even by his standards. But how exceptional was it? When we look at a season's worth of games before and after that night, his average game score was 27.4. Now for the fancy math. Most of these game scores are between 18.6 and 36.2. This represents one standard deviation from the mean. In layman's terms, we expect about 2/3 of his games to be in that range. These games all have a z-score of 1 or less. With a normal distribution, we would expect 99.7% of all game scores to have a z-score under 3. Anything above that is considered an outlier. On that night, Jordan's performance yielded a z-score of 4.26, a true outlier. When we repeat this calculation for every game in his career, that game was not only his best, but the most statistically unexpected in his career. Like any reductive metric, game score isn't perfect. But now we can normalize every player across time, space, and ability to better compare their unexpected performances. So who had the most unexpected performance ever? If we stopped here, we'd have our answer. Bart Kofoed. If you don't remember Bart, you aren't alone. He didn't do much in the NBA, so a mediocre game score of 18 tipped his z-score scale. While his performance checks the unexpected box, it doesn't quite hit on great. Let's add a threshold to filter out the Barts. Since the 1985 season, there have been 948,411 game scores recorded. We could argue the best of the best, quantitatively, is the 99th percentile of games. That's a game score of 29.0. To put that in perspective, if there were 5 games one night, only one player's performance would qualify as great. That seems like a decent threshold. This is what a game score of 29 looks like. Last season, Jason Tatum put up 38 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists in a Celtics win over the Hawks. A great performance by any measure. Okay, so we should have our top guys now. We did it, right? Well, almost. There's one more thing. A Patty Mills game would be the 4th most unexpected performance. He had a great game. Check. He had a high Z-score. Check. But he had another unexpectedly great game just 2 years later. Doing something unexpected more than once makes it feel, well, less unexpected. So for the cherry on top, let's rank everyone by the margin between their top 2 Z-scores. This drops Patty Mills from number 4 to number 49. And what about Terrence Mann? Although his game against the Jazz was an outlier with a Z-score of 4.01, he actually had a slightly more unexpected game his rookie season with a Z-score of 4.02. So he doesn't make the list. Once we hit the top 6, we have guys with Z-scores over 5 and a huge gap between their top 2 games. These are the true outliers, like Tony Delk's 53-point outburst against the Kings in 2001. At the number 2 spot is Dan Marley. He makes the list thanks to his vintage performance on the Heat at the tail end of his career. Not only was it out of the blue, but it was his highest game score ever. While most guys in the top 10 are basically interchangeable, there is no doubt about the number 1 spot. Willie Burton's legendary 53-point performance was truly unexpected. His career-high game score of 49.6 was double his next best game, and he was the only player with a Z-score over 6. On top of that, he was one of just 2 guys at the top of this list whose most unexpected game was also a top 50 all-time performance. And that's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure to check out pudding.cool for more data-driven NBA stories.